I get asked by people all the time who are thinking about starting a mobile RV tech business, how I set up my truck, what tools I carry, and what parts I stock. In this video, I'm going to answer all those questions, plus I'll show you how I set up my truck and van for the different areas I service and how I use each one. If you don't already know me, I'm Steve Pawlowski. I operate my mobile RV tech business in Michigan, May through November, and on the road when we snowbird, January through April. I have other videos on how I operate a mobile RV tech business, so if you're interested in this topic, you want to check out the other videos in this playlist next. Here's a tip for any YouTube video. I know there's a lot in this video and I'm talking fast. You can slow any video down by going up to the settings, the gear icon, and changing the speed the video plays. That way it's not going too fast for what you're trying to understand. First, let's start with the truck. This is my daily driver. I also use it to haul the RV, and I use it for service calls when we snowbird. So I'm going to start with the back of the truck. In this truck, I'm off a service call last night. Nothing's been cleaned, sorted, or organized in the back or the front, so sorry about some of the messes, but that's how it works. So we'll start in the front, we'll give an overview of it, and we'll go through the totes in a little bit. This is a fuel tank toolbox combo, not a lot of storage, mostly a fuel tank. If I was doing this fully as a mobile tech with this truck, I wouldn't have it in there because it takes up valuable space. The lighter fits on top of the totes in there. We have things in the front from slide-up motors, sealants, cleaners, tools I use on the top every day, like my Cotty tool for 12-volt testing, vacuums, air blowers, extra AC cleaners, brake cleaner. Some totes in the back here have my electrical supplies, fasteners. I use those every day. And you see in the back as well, sealant cleaners, knee pads, and stuff I use all the time. Now let's go in the back seat and get an overview before we take stuff out. So in the back seat, I keep a black sheet over top of all the stuff. That way if I'm parking at stores, buying supplies, or at a campground overnight, things are out of sight, out of mind. So let's pull it out of the way so you can see everything. Actually, Erica, you're gonna have to go to the other side so you can see everything. So I'm glad a back seat in this truck is big because I can carry a lot of stuff in here. And over on this side is where my go-to stuff is. I can hop out and grab my backpack, my DeWalt tools, impact drivers, drills, those type of things are all right here. I grab all the time. And underneath of the backpack, this is a toolbox, some other common tools I grab all the time out of this guy. There's a couple layers in there. As you can see, a lot of stuff packed underneath the seat as well. Now, come up over top here. It's definitely smashed in here, and it's a pain to dig everything out. Everything has its place, has to go back in its place after each job, otherwise I will not find things when I need it again. So underneath the garbage here, a little snack container, air conditioner parts, capacitors, control boards, thermostats, and here are my notes and books. I have to reference something for repair from the NRVTA. Open that in a minute. Uh-oh, I just dumped the garbage over. Business cards, everyone always wants one of those. I finished up a job. This is mostly inspection type things, but my propane testing gauges are on top of here, so I keep those protected. And on this side is some totes. This one's from a job yesterday. I throw these in as I need for the jobs. I always have my plumbing go tote underneath of here for fixing water lines and leaks. This one in particular that's on top is for Schwintek slide outs, leveling systems. If I wasn't doing that job, I was doing furnace jobs, I'd have furnace totes in here and circuit boards. I can't fit everything in the truck because I don't have enough space, and that's one of the things I'll talk about in the con section. Now we have our marketing tote with the more business cards, brochures. I also have little stickers. If I replace an appliance in an RV, I'll put it on there so the customer knows when it was installed. If you ever have any questions or want service on it, they know how to contact me. And this is my extra go parts, which is very, very crammed full of stuff. There's everything in here from propane to electrical to sensors to little parts and pieces that fits inside of here. When I need something on the bottom of this tote, it's a complete mess in the back seat because I have to throw everything out to get to that one little part. Now let's go through all these totes because that's what you want to know. Now I'm going to go through each tote. We'll do everything in the back seat first. I'll let you know and switch over to the back of the truck. So baby wipes to clean my hands after each job. In the marketing tote, a stack of brochures, a little box of business cards here. And in the back of it, we have a QR code that takes people to our Google reviews. And these are the stickers I was referencing. I can put the date on there, QR code, or if I don't have room for all that, just a small sticker will do sometimes. These are the business card holders. If I stop at a campground, want me to leave some cards there, I'll leave one of these on the counter. In the back of it, we leave our phone number so they can call if they want it refilled. We'll take things out of a Unpacking tote and put them on the table. You can tell right now why I put off this video, because there's a lot of packing and unpacking I have to do. So we have things like Swintech motors, cables, gears, control panels, switches, many different things. We can't go through all of these. The video would be 12 hours long, but things I would need for common repairs. If I have a special part that I ordered just for a job, obviously it's not in here. That would be a special part that's outside of the box. These are things I carry going out to a job that I might need. Done with that one, let's get into my plumbing go tote. People always ask me what tools and parts I carry. All of those items are in our Amazon list, so you can go on there. There's different lists. There's Steve's Tools, there's parts, the Mobile RV Tech Business. Just go through those and you'll see things, something that you want to carry, use as a tool. You can click it and have it in your stock as well. So mostly in my plumbing tote, it's a lot of toilet valves and PEX plumbing stuff. So valves for different toilets, Thetfords, Domestics, my PEX crimping tools, and a little tote over here for all the plumbing fittings, crimps, thread adapters, tees, those type of things. This one has some of the random things like some bypass valves, shutoff valves, check valves, PVC sealant, thread sealant, vacuum breakers, those items. Some of these things are regular things from a hardware store like Home Depot. Other things on here are special RV type parts. You order those from RV supplier or Amazon. These are the Go parts from the back seat. There's a lot of random things in here. You can see how it takes a lot of time, and I'm always packing, unpacking, repacking, sorting, and I have to have a mental list of what's in each tote. Otherwise I'll be there forever trying to find that one little part. I've ran out of the room at a table, so let me show you what's in the tote, and we'll spread the rest out. There's some seal flipper material, and we have some plugs, extra propane hoses, some battery cables, some propane brackets and fittings. I carry propane regulators for every option I come across, like a motorhome, travel trailer, fifth wheel style, 2 different types there, along with common hoses I come across that are leaking or busted, and some 12-volt relays, outdoor sprayer ports, electrical plugs as far as 30 amp and 50 amp, all the way from the campground pedestal to the RV side, Nautilus check valves, some wire between 14 gauge and 12 gauge, plumbing vent for the roof. This has my plugs and outlets in there. Some other random small parts that are usually electrical related. As I mentioned earlier, there's other videos about the Mobile RV Tech Business, but what these videos create is they help people out. They also create a lot more questions. I used to get around one question every couple of weeks, then it was a couple a week, now a couple per day. We get on the questions. I don't have time to answer all those questions one-off, everyone's individual situation. We created a subscription on our Facebook page, and from that there's a private group. This is for mobile RV techs or DIY RVers. They can ask questions, get their questions answered, and everything's there on the wall so people can go back through it and reference some of those things and search for the questions when they have one that comes up. It saves a lot of time and helps a lot more people at one time as well. And the best part is there's a lot of files inside of that group, so great references about how we operate our business, things we come across, good cheat sheets. So it helps you get started or just helps you figure things out. Now inside the bottom of this air conditioner tote, or box I should say, is all the capacitors that are pretty common for air conditioners. Everything from fan capacitors, dual capacitors, the single ones. Again, these are in some of the lists that you'll find inside of the group. We have thermostats for Dometic inside here, thermostats for Coleman, control boxes, test thermostats as well. If you're doing diagnostics, having a multi-zone thermostat with a test cable to plug it in saves a lot of time, so you're not questioning if you have a bad one. Always good to have that on hand. If the customer needs it, of course, you can leave it there with them. Underneath the back seat as well as some of my other control boxes. Those are going to come out next. Underneath of that side of the back seat is a control board for a Coleman thermostat and different converters between 55 amp and 75 amp. Those are the common ones. There's ones that are deck mount, which plug in with a cord, and one that's hardwired into the breaker panel box. It's starting to look like a yard sale around here. This is my inspection tote. Now, if you don't have room or don't want to carry all these parts, you don't have to. Just know if you limit yourself on what you carry is going to limit some of the jobs you can do, or just take longer to take care of the customer. There's nothing more satisfying for me than having the part in the truck and taking care of someone so they can have air conditioner working before I leave, or heat, water going, all those things. To see customers' eyes light up, like, seriously, you have that in the truck? And you have that in the truck too? It's pretty cool. And I get a lot more jobs that way because other people can't service them, and the customer doesn't want to be without a working RV. Always need a thermostat for checking things like air conditioners or furnaces. And down at the bottom, an extra tape measure, oven thermometers, light testers for a plug on a motorhome or back of a travel trailer, lighter for checking stoves and LP alarms. And this is something that I made. I figured out the parts and pieces that I needed, drilled a hole in the end of this, put the valves onto it. It's similar to this that we made. Both of these came from the trainings I went through. They broke down the parts that we needed. So I didn't have to figure out what pieces I needed, but we can put together some notes in a group and we'll leave those in there for other people. We have some electrical adapters for my hot skin tester. This is my temperature gauges, a lockout device. If you come across a bad cord that you didn't feel was safe to operate the RV, you can make sure it can't be plugged in. A extra water pressure regulator. This little guy is fun to prove when you fix an air conditioner system for making better airflow. Turn it this way. And this gauge you can put on the outside city water inlet check valve to check the pressure inside to do a leak test on a freshwater system. And the propane test gauge, there's two different types over here. I'll try to shade it so you can see it. This one is the 0 to 35 inch water column gauge. The 0 to 10 inch would not be enough for testing RVs. So all my reference books, those are really glaring at me. There's one for generators, solar systems, exterior, which is your slide outs, leveling stuff, RV refrigerators, air conditioners, heat pumps, water heaters, and furnaces. Those notes you get going through NRVTA. You can make your own version of them to edit afterwards, but these all come from the schooling. These are my DeWalt tools. Now I had these tools all before becoming a mobile RV tech full-time, and you'll see these in my Steve's tool list because of that reason. I also have a Twisted Toolbox YouTube channel. I reviewed all these tools on it. So if you're interested in checking out how each tool works, you can go to that channel and learn a little bit more about each tool. Now, I also get people ask me all the time of how much does it take to start the mobile RV tech business. And because I had some of these tools to start with, I already had a good foundation for it. I would estimate the parts and supplies I bought after I started the business a year ago, be around a $30,000 range. That's between your circuit boards, capacitors, plumbing, electrical supplies, all those things. That's not all in the truck. Some stored in the RV, some's back at our storage in Michigan, but these tools would not be included in that dollar amount. Because all these tools are in my DeWalt bag, I use them mostly, like tape measures, easy to access there. I don't use a grinder every day, but I'm glad I have it when I need it so I can cut something off or clean something up on top of an RV. A Sawzall is pretty rare, but I'd rather have this than a circular saw in the bag because it takes up less space. And this is an oscillating tool with a bag of bits for it. This is good for customizing things in the RV. It's like last night working on a slide out, having to trim off the seal to get the motor out. And pretty common is a drill and impact driver. Of course, you can have Sawzall blades. You know, bits for the impact driver between Phillips, square, Torx, your 3/8, quarter-inch, and 5/16 drive with a few other small bits in there you can adapt down to. And mostly everything except for the impact driver and drill I use doing custom jobs on RVs. A couple batteries stay in this bag. Some other batteries are in the back of the truck in different totes. And this guy is a lifesaver. It's a 90-degree adapter for the impact driver. It's flexible. You fit around a corner in tight spaces. The head comes off as well, so that way you can just go around a corner if you need to come in straight. If that's the option you have to get in there to take out a screw. And they always come with a flashlight in these kits. I actually use this occasionally when I'm working on a job for a long period of time, like water lines or things like that. And the set of drill bits that are in this bag are all the common sizes. I have a bigger set in the back of the truck for all of the small odds and end situations. Now this is the one you don't want to pay a lot of attention to because there's a lot of things in here that I use almost every job, and these tools are lifesavers, some of them. So we'll start down here in the front. First off, a plug tester. One of the screen on it will tell you what is wrong with it, plus your voltage. Little screwdriver for working on little electronics. This goes along with my DeWalt stuff, but a 6-inch extension to reach a little bit further. Plus a tiny screwdriver. And this is the 11-in-1 or 14-in-1, I lost count. Anyway, you can flip it over. You have Phillips, flathead, different sizes, nut drivers you can use on this side like 5/16 or 3/8 on the other side. And you have a couple small torque bits. Torque's pretty rare to use in an RV, but square and Phillips and nut drivers are very common. And right behind there, some electrical tape, and a little pair of needle nose pliers. And in this section, I keep my gloves, safety glasses, and my card reader, which is charging right now. And at the top, this will be my multimeter and little troubleshooting pieces, like little jumper wires, a highlighter, not really sure why I have it in here, but a thermal fuse for a refrigerator, some other fuses, so we can jump through and test things pretty quickly. Now on the multimeter, there's many different types out there. I know that people are going to say, get a fluke, you don't know what you're doing with a Klein tool. But this works just fine for many things in the RV. The reason I like the CL800 is because you can test the output on a Dometic air conditioner without getting false readings. If you don't have this, you can use a light bulb to test the air conditioner control box that's outputting power to the air conditioner itself. Otherwise, a cheap multimeter will work for many things in the RV, but I just keep this one. I use it every day. Now this bag, it's actually from Harbor Freight. There was another divider piece in here that you can carry multiple screwdrivers. I don't use that because everything kind of fits in the bigger hole. And I didn't think I was gonna need as big of a bag to start with, but I'm glad I have this one for all the pouches and components in there. So let's take some things out of it. Look at that, still got a circuit breaker in there. I'm actually happy I'm cleaning things up. Look at the bottom of this. I got leaves and debris down here, so I'll get the vacuum out when I finish up with this video. And this section over here, there's some nut drivers that are common sizes. I believe there should be a 10mm, a 9, and something else in there. This is a set. This is what I keep in the bag. And this guy, this is a punch down tool you can use for category 5 cables. But what I found is this is very helpful for those self-contained plugs in the RV where you're trying to push the wires into it. When you push on this, it'll snap and it pushes a wire into place. I keep a radar temperature gun. This is a torque screwdriver you can use for inch pounds, things like air conditioners or electrical boxes. There's very fine torque specs into those. That way you're not over torquing something and stripping it out. And to go along with that, I have some of the bits as far as the Allen head bits that go into that for working on converters. And this little bag over here, haven't used it yet, but it's a double square set. Now on the top side up here, I can point to most of these pretty easy. A couple different sizes of channel locks, some smaller, some bigger ones. A longer Phillips screwdriver. In the middle is my utility knife. If it's not in my pocket, it's in my bag. Right behind that, I wish they still sold these on Amazon, but they don't. But if you ever find a pair of pliers like these that has the strippers, cutters, twisters, pliers, crimpers, these can use for many of things. If I didn't have those, I mostly would use my strippers and cutters over here as well for stripping down wires or crimping connectors. Another tip is know where things are, put them back in the same spot. That way if you have a helper like my wife, I can tell her what color it is, where it's at in the bag, so she can get it while I'm laying underneath of something. A pair of side cutters, adjustable wrench, and right above that is where I keep the thermometer that I use every day. A couple pens and Sharpies. If you don't have one of these non-contact voltage testers, you want to have it. If you come across a situation like reverse polarity and you shut off the circuit breaker, you still have power going through the neutral wire to something like an air conditioner or appliance. So when I shut off a circuit breaker, I test it with this before I put my hands in there to verify there's no power going to that part. We'll have a couple long nut drivers, 1/4 inch, 1 5/16, magnetic tips, which helps not lose a screw. 2 different pry bars, You can use for removing trim or taking screws out of the RV. A little magnet with a light on the end of it, because I always drop a nut somewhere that I can't reach with the fingers. And back here in this side, this is going to be a little pick for removing O-rings, mostly on water lines. And this is a flare-it tool for tightening those rounded connectors inside the RV where the water lines are that are hard to get with a pair of pliers or your fingers. This guy is pretty heavy. I like that it's a backpack. I can throw it on my back, take it up on a roof when I'm climbing up a ladder. I do feel bad sometimes the customers try to help me. They carry my bag out, they're like, oh, this thing is heavy. I would estimate it weighs pretty close to 40 to 50 pounds. Underneath the back seat on the driver's side is a RecPro water pump. This one's a SureFlow water pump, which is pretty common on RVs. Kind of hard to read it on there, but it's a 4008 model. A gas valve for a furnace. And when I repair a trim, sometimes you need to fill in the nail holes. This little kit is pretty handy for all those options. Now, I'm pretty sure this video will be the longest one I ever made, so hopefully it helps lots of people. Now on the top of my construction toolbox, I have different adapters for impact driver, 90-degree adapters, little bits with swivels on them, a countersink bit, a common thin comb for air conditioners, a tap, a 1/2-inch size. I should have a 3/8. I should have a 3/4 inside of here as well, and some step drill bits with other countersink pieces here. In the top of this toolbox are things I grab pretty commonly all the time. These drill bits that can go onto the impact driver, I can use these with a 90-degree adapter to fit in tight spaces. A pair of red tin snips, right-handed ones. Speed square, level, 12-inch extensions for the impact driver, thread tape. See other picks in here, some markers, Sharpies, a chisel, a little flat bar. It's a 3/4-inch tap. A utility knife in case I lose the one that I normally use, and some other furniture markers over here. Now on the bottom side, there's a pair of scissors, digital calipers for measuring something precisely, and you'll see down here my battery tester. There'll be some brushes between some wire ones and foam ones for cleaning out appliances in the RV, a couple staple guns, some C-clamps, some files, the rest of the brushes for cleaning up battery connections, and some putty filling in nail holes. Right down below that, some discs for the angle grinder, and I think the rest of it down there is just mostly what I already repeated. Now that was the back of the truck. I've done a lot of talking. Let me take a break, get some water, and we'll show you what's in the bed of the truck. Okay, extra sealant. Mostly I use tan and white. So there's non-sag or self-leveling sealant in both colors. And this one has some of the extra tubes of oddballs like gray, some ivory, Proflex white, Proflex black, silicone for showers, and sometimes you need things like Goo Gone. In my cleaner box over here, which is pretty beat up by the way, is rubbing alcohol, non-chlorinated brake cleaner, blue painter's tape, microfiber towels, and my scrapers, along with some garbage bags so I can clean things up. And hey, look at that. I lost this yesterday. This is my little screw container. It's magnetic, flexible, supposed to go in my backpack. And obviously yesterday I was in a big hurry, didn't put away my stuff. This goes in another tote. This is a roller for putting down the Turn-A-Bond tape, so I'll put that back in a little bit. This box of awning parts is special for a job. Not going to go through that. I carry rubber gloves, blue ones and black ones. These are actually Erica's, a small medium. And in my toolbox here, this is all my sealants, caulk guns. Having a good caulk gun definitely helps on sealing. This one, you can change the flow rate on it from fast to slow. One that's easy to pull. I believe they call these like a 5-to-1 or 6-to-1 type of a gun. Better off spending the money on this if you're going to do a lot of sealing. And if you do a lot of sealing, a power caulk gun is certainly handy. If you're putting down 12, 15 tubes of die-core sealant, your hand gets tired of the manual gun, this makes it super easy and smooth, and you can do a better job because the flow stays consistent all the way through each tube. And these little seal tight containers, they're helpful for keeping your sealant from drying out. If you try to keep a tube of silicone, it's not going to last very long. Otherwise, this one can last quite a while. Because things like this, you only need a dab here and there. And what these are not good for is self-leveling sealant. I tried that before, and what happened, the self-leveling sealant flowed throughout the whole tube and was completely filled, so I had to throw that tube out. That's why there's only 3 left out of my 4 I initially started with. With a self-leveling sealant like Dicor, I wrap the top of it in some painter's tape. It'll last for a little while. It will dry out eventually, but if you use it often enough, it doesn't do that. And of course, a battery for the caulk gun, and some RTV sealant for sealing off a gas line for a water heater. And we'll say, Erica has pointed out that I keep showing things upside down, so sorry about that. I can see them properly. I'm forgetting the camera is turning the other way around. So this little guy is a 2-step stool. I'm 6'5" and can reach the ceilings mostly in RVs, so getting up a little bit higher helps me to work on an air conditioner without getting a big ladder inside the RV. If you're doing lots of roof work, I definitely recommend having some knee pads or even working on the side of the RV because rocks in your knees don't get along very well. And this kneeling pad, thank you Erica, come from Home Depot, nice and thick. I use this almost every day. Now in these totes are some appliance specific parts. I label on the top, fridge, water heater, and the bottom one will be for, I think, furnaces. So I carry some thermostats, some ECOs, a circuit board for a gas Suburban water heater, your little door latch, some plugs, and a cap. Down here are the tools, a element socket, and then a tool for removing a PNT valve from a water heater. And then I carry the PNT valves. All the ones I've come across are a 3/4 inch. They do make a 1/2 inch one, so make sure if you're ordering those, you get the one you want. And some anode rods down here. And this little guy for removing a plug. If you don't want to get the calcium on the side of an RV, you can stick this right to the water heater and help it drain out. And now on the fridge side, we have an HTMS for a Norcold fridge, some heating elements down there, and over here will be some thermistors and common things like little latches that go onto the doors on the outside of the RV. If you find those that are broken, you can pop these new ones in place. And some parts for a Dometic fuse, like a thermal fuse or the thermal disc. Now these totes are Harbor Freight. I know I've said a couple times I buy things from Harbor Freight. They work good on many things. I don't need to have an expensive Milwaukee pack out. These both do the same thing. I beat them up in the truck, and store my stuff, and keep them dry. People also ask me all the time about specific parts or lists that we have. They'll send over email or message and say, hey, when you have that, can you send it over? Because if I get that question a couple times, we put the information together and put it into our Facebook subscription group. So that way it lives in the files, everyone can reference it. Or if people have questions, we have them ask it on the wall of the group. That way it's always there for someone that can search if they have that same question themselves. Because I get these questions all the time in my inbox. Hey, can you send that out when you have it done? I'm not going to remember. I have a long list of things to do. I already work 60 to 80 hours per week on the mobile RV tech business. All this other stuff like the videos or helping people out answer their questions, I do in our free time. I don't get a lot of that. So I need to prioritize my time so we can help everyone equally. If I answer each question individually, I wouldn't get any other work done, take care of my normal customers. So if you have a lot of questions, you definitely want to join our Facebook subscriptions. You'll find a lot of questions you're asking inside of our group. So in this tote is for furnace parts. A little bit bulkier. I have sail switches for Dometic and Suburban, gaskets for Suburban furnaces, and gas valves, burner heads, a motor for Suburban. There's another tote somewhere with bigger things like blower wheels, but I'll have another gas valve over here, and more common things I come across for furnaces. You might have igniters and other sail switches for Suburban. There's pretty much 2 different types of sail switches for Suburban. There's the flat one, the one with the little tab on the end of it, and the part numbers for that are right there. This is something good to have. It doesn't live in a truck every day, but a turn-on tape of different sizes. 6-inch stuff. That's a big roll. 2-inch wide, 4-inch, and I also keep my extra butyl sealant in here for skylights, other things that I need to seal outside the RV, and some double-sided tape. There's going to be a lot in this electrical tote. In the bottom of the tote, I carry different wire from thermostat to colored 14 gauge wire in here, even some 10 gauge, a couple battery switches, some of these fuses that are auto reset, different amperage from 20 up to 50 amp, a pair of good cutters and working on power cables, battery lugs with heat shrink and with other heat shrink connectors. These are a pair of flag crimpers, live in the bottom of the tote. I don't use them every day. Circuit breakers, some solenoids and relays. This is a big battery lug crimper. I know people are going to say use a hydraulic one, but if you don't use it too often, this works on occasion. And now I know I'll get a bunch of comments in this video that you're using the wrong tools, you have too many tools, using the wrong ones, wrong parts, this is junk, those type of things. Thanks for watching anyway. Another battery switch. Now in the fuses assortment, there's ones from the big maxi fuses, to regular blade fuses, to mini fuses, glass ones. And the amperage rating is from 1 amp all the way up to 100 amp in these fuses. I just get assortments and I keep a couple in the truck at all times. That way I always have something if I need it. This little box will be some of the electrical switches. Different ones for slide outs, lights, some plugs, receptacles, some battery lugs and connectors. Down over here to some blank wall plates for making junction boxes, and just a plain old plug. This is a variety of electrical and plumbing fittings, from wire nuts to wire straps, adapters for regulators or other things in the RV. All my electrical connectors, Wagos, crimps, butt splices, some are heat shrink, some are regular, and it's 2 layers, different fittings in here between flag ones to spades and push-ins and ring terminals over here. And zip ties range from small ones up to large ones. Those can be used from securing wires to working on awnings. And I know you're thinking this is a lot of stuff. What do I need to actually start the business? If you're not a super freak fixer like I am, you can definitely have a lot less. You will need some zip ties, fuses, electrical connectors. Probably a quarter of the things in this tote would be necessities. The other stuff are common. Some things in here are pretty rare. So depending on what you want to start working on, depends on what you want to stock. If you have some basic things, you'll figure out over time the things that you need because, oh, I didn't have that part, I had to go to the store and get it. Do that a couple times, you realize what your common items are, the things that you want to stock. If it's outside of your regular things you work on that are pretty rare, you can always come back for that job or not take that job in general. This one has more electrical, some tapes, screws, fasteners. So we have some wire brushes for cleaning things like battery terminals. And these containers, a lot of miscellaneous screws, extra things that I keep or came across or parts between tank valve bolts, some plumbing stuff, parts for awnings, screws, miscellaneous stuff. I just eventually collected most of these things, or there's screws in here that I just didn't have space in other totes for, I don't use very often. In case I don't have my big box of beetle sealant, I always carry some small rolls in here, some 1-inch gray, black, and some smaller 3/4 inch beetle. That way, if I have to repair a furnace, I have a little bit if I need it. These are mostly stainless steel screws. There's the countersink heads and pan heads, different ranges and sizes. I picked up varieties of these over time based on what I've used or extra from different jobs. The most common screws in the RV are square heads. So these little black 1-inch long screws, I restock this little section quite often. The same with the white ones up here. As you see, I need to restock those. And these ones are good for screwing down different things or cabinetry inside the RV. This one is the screws for repairing underbellies. So stainless steel screws with the fender washers for those, plus some other self-tapping metal screws. A variety of pop rivets, from small ones to big ones, black ones to regular aluminum. These are the drill bits I mentioned earlier. It's a bigger case of many more sizes if I need to do something that is more special and customized. Now on the tapes on this side. This is foil tape for repairing air conditioners. I really like the 3-inch wide stuff so you can cover more ground at one time. And I do carry some 2-inch over here for smaller items. And we'll have some underbelly tape, a roll of Eternabond tape, 4-inch wide. Down over here, Gorilla tape. Actually, I don't think I need to say anymore. This is some gaffer tape. I use it occasionally for a temporary repair, but I haven't actually used these type of tapes in a long time. And we'll have some electrical contact cleaner here. And this I'm going to try in the near future on some underbelly. This is some seam tape used on the outside of houses. I've come across situations where this tape doesn't stick underneath of certain underbellies. I have extra nails and staples for my air nailer and some longer screws for construction work. I use the Gorilla ladder. I got it from Home Depot. I think this is a 20 or 21 foot model. It fits perfectly in the truck. I don't see the model number on it. It's pretty similar to a Little Giant or other options out there. You can pick which one you need, but having a ladder like this definitely helps you use only a truck. All right, Erica, let's go in the back of the truck for the rest of this because we can sort stuff out in there. This toolbox is a kit I picked up from Lowe's. As you can see, it's the Cobalt brand, has all the sockets, everything that come in it, with some extra things like screwdrivers and sockets. And guess what Erica's sitting on right now? This bag has some towels and rags, mostly for cleaning air conditioners, for cleaning up the stuff. Zero-G flex hose for flushing water heaters. We'll take a minute on this one. This is a Cotty tool, and I know it sounds really weird, but that's the name of it. This tool and all the adapters, you can run anything in the RV on 12 volt. You can work on slide outs, leveling systems, awnings. There's all sorts of adapters in here. I honestly haven't used all of them yet. Mostly what I use is the little alligator clips off of the 12 volt plug in here so I can power something up to test it really quick. The other things like specialized adapters, I just take them out as needed. Skill Above RV Testers makes a lot of specialized tools for mobile techs. They certainly save a lot of time diagnosing, and you can take care of the customer much faster that way. You can find a link to this product and the other tools they make down in the description. And here I keep some rivet nuts. You'll see the tool for that in a second. And other slide out things, cables for slide out systems. And down to the bottom out here, there'll be a motor for a slide out. And some other tools. I don't use these all too often. So if you're wondering what you would stock, these things would not be very common. But there is a surge module for a watchdog. I have this because I own one of those myself and use it. And the other tools for working on cable slide outs. A 1/2-inch torque wrench, mostly used for wheel bearing work. And also with wheel bearing work would be the impact wrench. I don't do side of the tire repairs. I use this for taking off wheels, working on wheel bearings or RV repairs and maintenance in that department. And inside of there also, this is a lug nut socket set. I like because it's compact. You have multiple sizes. You can flip the socket around like say 1/2 inch, 15/16, and it's all ready to go and fits right inside the bag. These are some cleaners and sprays, battery terminal cleaners, corrosion protectant, silicone dry lube, RV slide out seal lube, white lithium grease, WD-40 dry lube, RV dry lube. You notice the dry lube with all these things? I only use regular WD-40 if I have to break loose a nut or a bolt. I don't like using the oil-based things like this because you put it on something to lubricate it. It also attracts the dirt and the dust and makes it work worse over time. A little cordless vacuum doesn't carry a lot in there. I use this to clean up messes inside a customer's RV. It's not very professional to take something apart and leave a mess behind, so I can clean up behind me, whether I'm just taking down a cover and sawdust comes out, or if I'm doing some construction work inside the RV, making a lot of sawdust. And this little blower is pretty small, but it has a lot of power. I can clean out things like a backup refrigerator, sometimes water heaters and furnaces, but mostly used on top of the roofs or cleaning off areas I'm repairing the sealant. An air power brad nailer. I do have a compressor on the truck. You can also run this off a portable Via air compressor. There's a lot in here. I'm glad we're almost at the end of this video. A collapsible bucket when I'm doing things on the water system or working on a tank valve. Works great if inside of underbelly. This is a regular pop rivet gun. This guy here is the Peacemaker AC tester. There's two parts to this tester. This piece can test the actual air conditioner unit on top, so testing the compressor and the fan for amp draw for things working properly. And this piece tests the control box of what power you're setting up to the air conditioner to verify that the controls inside are working properly. When you plug this in, you'll have lights come on for the compressor, fan, or heat pump, depending on what you're trying to operate on top of the RV. And I will add, you don't have to have one of these parts, But let me tell you, it's certainly nice to make sure an AC works before you put it on the roof and bolt it down and find out after a couple hours of work. Use adjustable jack stands when I'm working underneath of an RV. Then we have a 12-ton bottle jack, and this would be the rivet nut tool I talked about earlier. I'll grab a tool on itself. You put the rivet nuts into the sidewall. This tool is certainly better than the cheap ones you can find from a local hardware store. So up in the front, this tow has some of those yellow leveling blocks. Everyone knows what they are. RVs have them. Those work great to raise my jack up for working on a slide out or something else on the RV. And this little mat works perfect for crawling underneath. Some little pieces of foam to use in a ladder so I don't damage the side of an RV. And in this tote here, this would be some extra microfiber towels, the simple green, some cleaners, some brake cleaner, coil cleaner. And over here, I believe this is almost it. A cordless heat gun, and over on the side of the truck over here I have extra pipe and longer stuff that doesn't fit anywhere else. Alright, I made it through the truck stuff. Now let's go through the pros and cons of using the truck for mobile RV tech service calls. For the pros, this truck is a dually, and since I only use it when we snowbird and we're going to RV parks, those are usually larger and I'm not taking up too much extra space. I can fit in the same spot as a person's RV or an empty spot next to them. Plus RV parks normally have roads that are much larger and has 5 seats so I can carry passengers if I need to. Now the con list is a little bit longer. I did use this truck for a full season in Michigan while I was figuring out what the ideal service vehicle for that service area is. With having this being the daily driver and a pack full of stuff, I can't quickly go do errands or run groceries. And if I need Erica to go to work with me, I don't really have room for her because the passenger seat is usually full of extra stuff. And with the truck being full already, if I need something on a job, like I come across a skylight broken, I can't fit that in the truck, I have to schedule a return call. And with that, if I'm going to do, say, like a skylight job, I have a water heater and air conditioner job, I can't fit those things in the truck at the same time, let alone barely fit them at all into the truck and take them out to that call. An air conditioner has to go on top of stuff in the back of the truck, with the tonneau cover rolled up. And with the tonneau cover, it does cover all the stuff in the back of the truck, but if I have a pop-up rain shower that comes in, which we have a lot of those in the Michigan service area, even in the middle of summer and it's nice out, pop-up showers come up, and then I have to take all my tools and stuff, put them back in the truck, roll the tonneau cover back down, that way things don't get wet when that pop-up shower comes through. So that leaves me rolling the tonneau cover up and back, and let me tell you, at the end of a long day, that is certainly annoying. And the biggest issue I run into in my normal service area at home is Michigan campgrounds are small because they've been built a long time ago. The roads are narrow, the spots are small. I can't park the truck in front of someone's RV because I'm blocking the road, or they might have to move their vehicle out of the spot so I can back the truck in to work in their RV. Otherwise, I have to park the truck down to quite a few spots to find an empty space, and I'm walking back and forth getting all the tools, which is not very efficient when you're trying to fix someone's RV. What I really wanted was a box truck with cargo doors, compartments on the outside, with space on the inside, and a big old workbench. But those are big and large and wide, and they would be just as big of an issue as a truck would be. So what I figured out is going with a van that is skinnier and taller that I can fit inside, and I can put a lot of parts inside of it. I don't take up a lot of extra space in the RV parks because I'm using the height for my storage, not the width. Now let's go see how I packed all this stuff into the van to make it more easier for myself. We're in Michigan, it's 3 months later, and the van is set up, so we're gonna go through the van portion of the video. It's a little breezy out today, and there's road noise up front, so we moved to the backyard, that way that won't affect too much, so hopefully you can hear me through everything. So, we've been a one-vehicle family for the last 4 years when we went full-time traveling in the RV. Since we bought the home in Michigan, it was time to buy a second vehicle, that way Erica can run errands, do doctor's appointments, and those things. And being she only drives a vehicle a couple times a week, it didn't make sense to buy a little vehicle because she's not driving it every day, so it made sense for her to drive a dually and me to get a work van because I'm in this thing almost every day throughout the week, like 50 hours a week driving this thing around. Now I'm going to show you the upgrades I made to the van, go over the pros and cons, and give you a tour how we set it up, took everything out of the truck, and put it in the van. These are the upgrades I made to the van after I purchased it. First off, I get this question quite a bit if I bought it new and custom ordered it. I didn't buy it new, but the van was custom ordered when it was initially bought, so it was 2 years old when I got it, and it already had the shelves inside of it. Once I got it, I put a cell phone booster on it, I put lights in the back of it because it was dark I couldn't see, and I put a brake controller on it for towing a trailer or testing brakes in someone's camper. Here's the pros of what I like about the van. As I already mentioned, it came with the shelves inside of it, But if I was to build shelves inside of it, I wouldn't set them up this way. I'm really glad they are set up the way they are. It has a back section and a front section. So the front is a private section that's closed off in the back, the door in between it. So that way when the doors are open in the back when I'm working on jobs, bugs and campground smoke and those things aren't going to the front. If I need to get to the front, I can access it through the door in the back or the side door. With that access through the middle, that works great for carrying long things like awning trim or awnings, or I can put them right up in the front, and if I have to, I'll hang out the back doors. I selected this van, which is a Ford Transit high top, because I'm 6'5". Now I can clearly stand up in the back of it, compared to a medium or low top van, which I would have to hunch over or crawl in to get all my parts and pieces. This way I'm not hitting my head, and it's much more ergonomic. Also, this van is skinny, which coincides with our skinny campgrounds I work in. So the campground roads are narrow, there's not a lot of space to get around. So compared to the dually truck, which is wider and hung out into the road quite a bit, this van I can get pretty much off the road. That way campers and traffic can pass me while I'm working on someone's RV. And this van has so much more room to fit all the parts and inventory in it. I have everything that was in the truck, plus more and extra things. That way I'm not taking extra trips out to someone's job because I can't carry something that's bulky like a skylight. And what I really like about the van is days that are rain days, I can still do work because the van is covered, things are out of the weather. Compared to the truck, I would have to cancel and reschedule jobs all the time because everything was exposed in the back of the truck. And if I rolled the tonneau cover up and back, things would get wet, and it just wasn't feasible some days to do any work at all. And again, with it being taller, I can easily get in and out of the back of the van for head height, and it's low to the ground. I don't need a step stool or anything crazy to hop up inside. It's pretty easy, even someone with shorter legs can get inside of the van without a problem. And I call this a bonus with the van because I bought it in Florida. There's a lot of dark tinted windows in Florida. It keeps the sun out, which keeps it cooler in the front. When I drive the truck now, it's much more lit on the inside, and I'm like, wow, there's a big difference with the sun coming in and making you warmer. Plus with the dark tinted windows, if I'm working on a computer or doing paperwork, people can't see what you're typing on the computer, or they can't even see you at all to know you're inside the van. Now with the cons, the van only has 2 seats, so I can't haul extra passengers, but doing jobs, it's only me and Erica. With having everything open and the shelves right behind you, you can hear the things rattling around and making noise. So people can hear some of the noise when I'm talking on earbuds when Erica's driving. I did get a lot of those noises to stop, between the wood squeaking on the metal and shelves and those type of things. It has a little light noise back there, which isn't too bad. I really haven't had any complaints from people I'm talking to, so I think it's okay. What I miss about the truck is a center console. That was the area to write notes whether I was in a driver's seat or a passenger seat. Now with the van, if I'm driving, the notepad stays in the passenger seat, and when I stop between jobs, I can pick it up, put it on my lap, and take notes. If I'm in a passenger seat and Erica is driving, the notepad stays on my lap, but I did get a little desk I can put on my lap for the computer and a notepad, which makes it pretty easy when I'm in a passenger seat and Erica's driving me around. One of the biggest things with the van is how it blows around on windy days. This van is high, and before it was loaded up with all the tools, it really blew around. Now when it's loaded up, it's a little bit better, but some of those days that are 20, 30, or even 40 mile per hour gusts, this thing rocks and rolls. If you're not paying attention, it can push you to one side of the lane or the other. Compared to the truck, that thing was stable, stout, and didn't move an inch when it was blowing outside. Now let's do the van tour. Let me show you on the outside of the van first. We'll go to the front, then the back, show you how everything that used to be in the truck now fits in here, plus the extra stuff. Here's one of the big questions I always get. Who did the stickers in your van? Where did you get them from? I have 10 plus years of experience making vinyl and stickers for a bunch of billboards I did for our last business. So I made all these on a silhouette machine and cut them out. It's regular vinyl, 2 layers, like this right here with the white and the black. There's a layer of black and a layer of white. So if you buy stickers, you might get them like that, or there might be one piece you stick on. There's plenty of options out there. You can order them if you don't have the ability to make them yourself. So now in the front section, or side door, some might call it. So first off, over here on the side, I carry an extra kneeling pad, umbrella, a long stick magnet, fire extinguisher, and this battery down here clips in. This is for running the lights I installed inside of the van. So let's turn that on. So there's a few different lights, and they all have push buttons on them so I can turn them on or off, even ones on the side. So that helps when I'm working at night so I can light up the area I'm working next to, and it also helps to see things on the shelf. I don't need them all the time, that's why I have the buttons on the lights themselves. And to help you see everything, the camera's on wide angle, so it might be a tad distorted. So let's go through the top shelf up here. Here I have some vent lid covers and roof and plumbing vents. Over here will be some fridge vents, and my LED flashlight tucks inside there. A box of furnace foam for the bottom gaskets, And this is a little bag with some extra rags inside of it. I put bungee cords across some of these areas because things like the furnace foam kept falling out and almost hitting us in the head. Now going down, I have 3 skylights in here. 14 by 22 is a common size. I have a clear, a smoke, and a white. And this is one of those things I really needed to carry that I couldn't carry in the truck. That's a pretty common item I come across. And in case you're wondering, I'm not going to take everything out of the boxes. I've already gone through all the totes and parts and pieces. And things like skylights, you can visualize what those are. Now coming down here, I have a little tote with some COLP alarms, light bulbs, some sensitive electronics, a little extra paperwork, my Wample, my NRVTA books, electric bug zapper, need one of those, my circuit board box, extra marketing as far as brochures and business cards, and down here Erica has an extra bin for some gloves, glasses, change of clothes, bug nets, guests who work in buggy areas. So in this first aid tote, of course, there's Band-Aids, bug spray, eye wash, peroxide, things that you might need when you're out and about. And behind that, there's a little tote with some extra clothes for myself. This bucket's used for washing your hands, so water jugs, you can clean yourself up. And in our service area, we go to pretty remote areas quite often. There's no restrooms or porta potties, so you got to carry your own porta potty for those reasons. And this is my go tote. I took the top off of it so it fit inside of here. So all of the common things I need to get to are stuck inside of here for parts and pieces. Not everyday items, but I need to have them in the van. Now Erica's going to back up so we can see the last shelf. On the top row, I have a couple sets of knee pads I can tuck in there. I put the bungee cords across this so things don't bounce out or fly forward if I have to hit the brakes. Some rolls of garbage bags. Down here to the snack boxes. And everyone always asks of what things I take and snacks, so let's put these on the floor and go through them. These fatty sticks are great if you haven't had them before. What they are is good protein type food. Sometimes if I don't have time to eat lunch, I can eat this quickly between jobs. Or if I get a call late in the day and it's 9 o'clock, this is my dinner, or hold me over until I get home for dinner. And in this bag, this is Element. This is a electrolyte salt. This is kind of like Gatorade, but without the sugar and the junk inside of it. That means that when I have this mixed into water, I'm not going to crash and get tired and then have to have more sugar to stay awake again. Things like this and the fatties are good because I can keep going all day and take care of the customers. And we have a little bit of trail mix. And these little guys, if you haven't had them before, Lara bars are good. And we have the chips and candy box. So when you need something crunchy or salty, these are good for that. And candy, when you're craving something, this way you don't have to stop at a store and waste time and money, and you can take care of that craving. And here is some extra flashlights, headlamps, gloves, blue tape, the spare screwdriver in case I leave mine behind or lose it, DeWalt battery charger, and a spot for some rubber gloves, my vacuum, leaf blower, and DeWalt battery powered heat gun live in this section. And right below that, there's enough room for 4 boxes of sealant, some miscellaneous, and I carry white and tan for the colors. So everything in this section is easy to access. I can go from the front seats into this area, grab things and go back and forth. Over here to my right, this is a door that you can access the front to the back. So I put magnets on it to keep it closed. And down over this way, a little garbage can. This is my desk that I use in the front seat. Box of drinks. And I realized I needed rubber boots for doing water heater flushings and drainings because my feet get pretty wet if I don't have those. And I put a couple hooks over here for hanging up my work clothes and jackets. There's a couple rows in there. And speaking of which, because these are in my hand, it's a good time to answer the commonly asked question about what I wear for work clothes. I get this question a couple times a week. So let's hop out so I can show you these. So most of everything I wear is True Work brand, except for the shirts. And I get the shirt question quite a bit of, where do you get that shirt? It looks great, it looks comfortable. But the shirt is a moisture wicking shirt, nothing special to it. And I've given people the link before. The problem is they're made for tall people. So they start at a large tall. So if you're not a tall person, you're gonna be swimming in a shirt like this. You can find anything that's moisture wicking that you like and similar to this. As far as the printing on it, we use a local screen printer embroidery shop. They put all the logos on this stuff that we order and take it over to them. So these pants are True Work. I got a pocket for the phone over here, a pen or Sharpie pocket, plus your regular pockets that you use. Things like this on this pocket. It's heavy duty. I put my flashlight or knife there quite often. So What I realized the difference between these and regular pants, when it's hot and sweaty, they're comfortable, they're not sticky, and they dry out really quick. And this is one of their hoodies. It's yellow for high visibility, so you're safe working around things, or someone can see me from across the campground and come over to get on my job schedule or ask questions. I put my name and the business logo on there, because that way when you're talking to someone, if they forget your name, it's not uncomfortable for them. They can say, hey, I'm talking to Steve. Also, these are very durable. They're not cheap, but they last a long time, but I'm also smart with it. So this is dark here, so working day-to-day stuff, I'm not going to get dirty. But if I'm crawling underneath of an RV, doing grease and bearing jobs, I'm not going to wear this because I would trash it. At that point, I would use one of my black jackets or hoodies so I can get that dirty and you can't see the stains. Speaking of the jacket, they're similar to this, but the jacket is pretty much waterproof. I had a day earlier in the spring and I was wearing this guy and it was wet outside. I didn't put any rain pants on, of course, but my pants were wet. I was all dry on the inside. It has a little bit of insulation to it. It's not too hot, not too cold. So it's a little bit of a slippery layer on the outside. And similar to the hoodie, the sleeves are long enough where if I'm working on things, I'm not worrying about rain going down my butt. And the hood is nice and large. So if I'm working on stuff, I can, have my phone out if I need to take pictures. The hood can block the rain, keeps myself dry, and I keep what I'm working on dry as well with using this jacket. And the True Work brand is basically made for construction workers, so they build things to last, and you get what you pay for. And remember, links for things like this we talk about in the video, we'll put them down in the description, so check it out if you're interested in something like that for yourself. So the front of the van is nothing too special. It fits me with being tall, lots of headroom of course. I put a phone charger over here and normal van stuff up here in the front. My brake controller button knob is right here. I put the seat covers on it. Nothing fancy. They actually don't fit too well, but they work to protect the seats. And the section up here in the windshield is tinted dark, which works as a really nice sun visor because the windshield's really big in this van. It keeps you from being too hot or being blasted by the sun when you're driving around. Now I'm either driving or passengering, and it's quite often people come up to me in campgrounds, ask for a business card or information. So I have a well-stocked area over here in the glove box. These are stickers I'll put in appliances, things I install in someone's RV, brochures, and business cards. Carry plenty of those. That way it's always accessible. When I do a job, I'll leave the customer with at least a brochure or two and 3 to 4 business cards because they hand them out to their neighbors and they always have an extra one. In the driver's door, this room for business cards over here, so I keep those. That way they're easily accessible when someone comes up to me when I'm pulling up to a campsite or pulling away. Usually happens, they're flagging me down. So now let's go to the back. Before I forget, this is a cell booster antenna. I'll show you where it lives on the side here. It sticks up above the van a little bit. It's a WeBoost Overlander cell booster. So the outside antenna is in the back, and the inside antenna is all the way at the front by the driver's compartment. It plugs into a regular 12-volt cigarette lighter. It's made a big difference in some of those areas that have weak signal. Areas with no signal, it's still hit or miss, but it's better than what I had before. What I realize is when I get busy on jobs, I don't keep track of some things. I did that a couple too many times and I forgot about a small part, $10, $20 here. So I put some whiteboards in the back. The top whiteboard is what I use for my restocking list, things I need to put in the van or restock. And the bottom one is what I use on the job site. So I grab a part out of the van, I jot it down. When I finish up doing their bill, I can make sure I got everything covered. And below that, my little step stool, a little spot for it to hang up. And you can tell we're in bug area. I keep a fly swatter back here too. Now we're on wide angle so you can see everything. So it's going to be a bit distorted again. And some of these totes and toolboxes will be the same that was in the truck. So I'm not going to go through them all. I'll show you what is in each location. So this is a tote for sealant. Below that is my fastener tote. And in front of that, this is my toolbox with those items. And my electrical tote is below that. And right in front of that, this is my toolbox. And I stick my foam for the ladder for going up against the side of an RV back behind here. These yellow bins, some of them you would have saw in the truck, but I have just basically piled wrenches or bigger common things here. This is my catch-all extra parts and pieces that go in this little tote. I carry extra alcohol. My paper towels will go in front of there, but I ran out my last job. Some water filters, screws, fasteners. Here's some LED lights for inside of an RV. with air conditioner control boxes, water heater heating elements, and anode rods. And moving up a shelf, and this row was not in the truck, so things that I've added. This tray has different fasteners and screws inside of it. I can carry more in different sizes because I have more space. This has all my propane stuff in it. Tape, regulators, hoses, brackets, some fittings. Since you haven't seen this yet, I'll show you what's inside. Some 1/4-inch line for ice makers or refrigerators, a faucet for an outdoor shower, same with the hose, check valve inlets, water heater bypass valve, outdoor shower faucet nozzle. These are washing machine on-off valves. And stuff for Nautilus panels. The seals and fittings and a couple valves that are common ones to replace. And these next two will be new as well, so I'll put them both down so you can see them. In the box is extra propane, hoses and fittings, regulators. Yes, I carry 3 to 4 regulators inside the van at all times. The most common ones are a dual stage regulator. This is the MEGR 253. I have tried using some of the cheaper ones like this. They work from time to time, but over the long haul, I realized I replace more of these compared to the higher end ones. So I don't want to have to go back and replace them. That's why I use mostly the Marshall brand regulators. And the hoses are different varieties of lengths and sizes, things I've come across and broken. It's something I stock just in case I need to try to figure out something. If someone blows out a tire and has damage, I don't have time to go hunt down hoses in those situations. I need something to get them back on the road. And one thing I'm learning with the van is I can help a lot more people on the first time and get more things done. So I can do more jobs, be more efficient because I'm carrying more parts and supplies, the common items, compared to the truck before where I was limited on supplies and I had to make multiple trips. This crate has a bunch of furnace parts. Motors, blower wheels, some ductwork pieces, different circuit boards for different furnaces. The Dinosaur Fan 50 plus pins is the most common one, plus extra sail switches inside this tote. I just moved the big bag of DeWalt tools out of the way. It'll float around, it'll be over here on the floor. Depending on what is needed to move in the van, it just can go out of the way. And this tote is trim, repair, and supplies. So some of this tape is trim repair tape. See different colors. Goo Gone, wood glue, and there they are. Looking for these guys the other day. Staples for my air nailer for repair and trim. The markers you saw in the truck section, and my wood putty for filling nail holes. And this one's a new box, so let me show you what's in here. These are various awning motors and gearboxes. Some for Carefree awnings. The Longitude is a popular one. Traveler is another popular one. Those would be for the Carefree brand. And I also carry a, open it up here. Also carry a lipper assembly, and not in the van yet, but will be soon, is a Dometic 9100 and 9200 motor. So behind here, I keep extra paper towels and rubber gloves. And up here in the front, so now it's raining, but we're dry inside the van. It's always so hard to find good weather to make videos when I'm not busy, so we're gonna roll with it. As I was saying, this tool, this is a battery boost jump pack. Difference on this one compared to some ones you might find at an auto parts store is you can power up an appliance with it. So when you turn it on, you hit this button, hold for a second. Now there is 12-volt power at the leads. If I clamp these onto a wire, I can power up a furnace or appliance inside of an RV because there's 12-volt coming out of it. Some of these need a sense power before they give out power. This one gives out power no matter what. So next shelf down, this is air conditioner section. So AC parts and pieces, you would have saw these before, just a different box. The peacemaker, a soft start, and a blower wheel for a Dometic air conditioner. These are the same totes as a truck, in water heater, fridges, and furnaces. And one more row down, some extra plumbing parts in here, hose washers, PEX clamp fittings, and 90s and T's. This is a toolbox of cleaners and sealants and lubricants. Water pumps as a Rec Pro and a SureFlow. And my 2 totes of plumbing stuff, a Plumbing Go tote, and Plumbing Extra. Extra has tank valves and those items. Go tote was mostly the PEX plumbing and odds and end fittings. Gotta get low, it's getting a little bit tight in here with the camera and my feet. You've seen this one before of slide out cables and those type of parts and pieces. Distilled water, for batteries, extra boxes of sealant, there is some alpha sealant, an extra case of Dicor tan and white. And this tote you've seen from the back of the truck, this is what I call my inspection tote. Now behind me, as you can see, this is a roll of Plex plumbing. I carry red and blue. Blue is the most common, but you have to have both colors if you want to make things color matched. I carry extra blue just in case I need something for a crazy job. Now down below here, I have a set of wheel chocks. That way I can make sure an RV doesn't roll before I crawl underneath of it. I have a big roll of 14-2, 12-2, and some 10-2, the most common wires inside of the RVs. And below that, this is my tote of the leveling blocks and 2x4s, some extra knee pads. These are actually Erica's. She hasn't got them out of the bag yet because I give her mine every time she has to use them. And behind here is my bottle jack and jack stands. This is my DeWalt impact wrench, torque wrench, swagging tool for cable slides, hammer, sledgehammer, rubber mallet, some extra wrenches, ratchet straps, Vi-Air compressor. This compressor came as a kit, everything except for the, where's that? The regulator. This is either the 400 or 450 Vi-Air kit. I forget which model it is. Either way, they're linked in our Amazon store. You can see which model this is in there. This is good if you need to inflate someone's tires on a motorhome or travel trailer. I can blow out water lines before I winterize, or blow out water lines to repair a system, check for leaks. Anything else I might need to use, I find I use this thing about once a week working on RVs, so I'm glad I have space for it in the van. I realized I needed to have the bar clamp in the van. This comes in really handy when you're changing tank valves. You can grip onto something else underneath the underbelly, grab onto the pipe, you can pull it back a little bit. That way you have space to get the valve out without having to fight the seals and worry about leaks. This box is extra Turnabon, a couple of roof vents, and extra butyl sealant. Roof trim. The stuff I use all the time is a heavy duty stuff. It's 1 inch wide. This is much better than the not heavy duty brand that is usually put in RVs when they're built from the factory that you end up finding that's falling off. So you replace it with this, you don't have to worry about it coming off again, or at least for multiple years. And this sits on top of the slide out tote, which I don't know if you saw in the last video because I couldn't live in the truck all the time. But I had different things in here from Schwintek motors, gears, leveling system control pads, and miscellaneous stuff that I found that's common for jobs that I do. All right, I gotta stand up now. Where are we at? So this box, it says extra tools inside of it. So I don't know if you want to see it or not. I can explain it. I have hole saws, rivet gun, finish nail gun, some other construction type of tools in there. Things that I have and I want to be able to take in the van I realize that I would need from time to time. So they just live inside this tote. I've added to it and it's full, so I have to stop adding things to it. Air conditioner cleaning, some extra filter material, and scrub brushes for roof sealant. And my 0G hose. This is a 50-footer. It works for pretty much any hose situation I need, which is typically flushing out water lines or rinsing things off. Now I do want to say, I own most of these tools before I became an RV tech. I just found spots to put them in the van because I might need them on jobs, or I found random cases that I would use them. If you're just starting out, don't be intimidated. You need to have all these tools, parts, and supplies. It might take you longer by taking 2 trips. You might have to buy a tool here and there to get the job done. I love fixing things and getting things done and taking on challenges, so I work a lot more hours than the average person, and it's really fun to me being able to fix problems and take care of things. So do what you're comfortable with and start from there. So in this section, I carry different converters from 75 amp, this is a plug-in style, and 55 amp plug-in style, and a built-in style. Behind that, you will find a battery load tester. These are extra knee pads I got when I picked up Erica's. I'm wiring mine out, so when I break those completely, I'll have a set in the van ready to go. As you can tell, this is a catch-all box, but what you'll see inside of here is some water hoses, things I use for winterizing RVs. Then we have some extra catch-all stuff. Not really a big deal, some little random awning parts, awning motor, another converter up here. This is the only section I modified in the shelves. You can see it's a new piece of wood. What I did is moved one shelf down, added one here, based on what I was trying to carry because I ran out of space. I just want to say again, I love the headspace in here. I can stand up, not even worry about hitting my head. And with that, I have space for things like ladders. I carry an extra ladder now in the van that would never fit in a truck. That way when Erica is going on jobs with me, we have extra ladder for doing awnings or slide out toppers, or sometimes I just need a quick little light ladder to get around the RV versus a heavier gorilla ladder. And behind that, I have a creeper. If I'm working on a cement slab underneath an RV, I can roll around really easy. It makes underbelly and tank valve work so much easier. I'm putting some PVC pipe over here to hold the straight pieces of PEX. This guy is a little flexible grabber tool. We need to get something from around the corner, usually when I drop a screw. I do want to say, whatever your work vehicle is, make sure you keep it organized and know what's inside of there. If you just throw things in piles, it's not organized, you'll be frustrated trying to find things, whether you have all the space like a van or you have a little SUV you're working out of. Now what does happen at the end of the day, when it gets to be dark, I get busy and I just throw things back in the van because I don't feel like sorting it out. But I do go through it the next morning, sort it out, organize it. That way I'm ready for the next day. I'm not working over a mess and stepping over things that are on the floor. Okay, you made it through a really long video, you saw everything I carry, and you can't break it down to the very nitty-gritty during the video, but if you want the inventory list of things that I carry in stock, or documents we use to streamline the business, we have a private Facebook group. You can become a subscriber of that group by going through the main Facebook page, click subscribe. Facebook will automatically add you to the Facebook group. From there, you can see the files and documents section. You can download them and customize them to make them your own. And we get so many questions, we've created a bunch of videos to answer those questions. You want to check out other videos about the mobile RV tech business, you want to check out this playlist next.